and he really is an absolute superstar. He's been an absolute pleasure to watch. And hopefully for our sake, Hutto, we get to see him kick his 700th goal. Who plays on him tonight? What does Justin Leppich do? That is going to be the big question mark. We know Daniel Merritt is now playing down back. I think he'll go to Tippett to lend support to these younger guys. Harris Andrews has been nothing but outstanding. He's been a massive tick for the Brisbane Lions this year and what he's done in defence. Only played his 10 games. Do they go with him or do they go with Justin Clark, who's playing his 50th game today? Number one defender in their team, Hutto. Be great matchups. I can't wait to watch it.
Thank you, Moons. Jono, who do you think goes to Buddy?
Oh, well, we were just talking about it before, and look, there are a number of players. You think Harris Andrews will get a go at some point, but Clark's probably the one initially. I think that will go to him. It's a big challenge. It's a big challenge for him. The defender's just walking down now for the Brisbane Lions. Gardner's down there as well. Looks like.
Do you reckon they're doing paper, scissors, rock as they walk down? Or not?
No, it looks like Harris Andrews is just he's wandered over, wanders past. Clark now goes in behind.
But he's just said a couple of words to him.
He's just gone, "You beauty, this is my day, Clarkie."
It was the old footy record. Let's have a look at the footy record. Who are you, son, do you think?
No.
Jared Healy, Brett Johnson in the box with us this afternoon. Justin Clark has had to play on some big guns already. It's a big challenge for him. We're underway as round 15 comes to its conclusion here at the Gabba. And it's first of all the Swans in through Kennedy, and a fumble from Merritt won't help matters.
It was good work by Kurt Tippett. Took the ruck and then got the first possession. That's exactly what established that first clearance. But nice rebound, and Pierce Hanley, he's started in the middle of the ground. So they're throwing some pretty heavyweight players into the middle.
Game 100 for Pierce Hanley, as we've discussed. Great to see him reach that milestone. He's been an outstanding player. He's had a tough year, obviously. A late start with injury and then missed last week as well, but hopefully back at something close to full fitness today. Here's Andrews at half-back. He has impressed all with his performance so far. Bit of a swerve kick there and swinging in the air. James Anderson and Stuart Broad would have been happy with that, but probably less said about the cricket the better as the pass speared in.
Just maintaining possession at the moment, though, the Lions. Might be something we see a bit of today. If the ball's in their hands, they're going to be better off. But it's these possessions here when they have to kick long down the line when they're slowed up. They need players at the feet.
It did look like a plan, didn't it, from what we saw earlier, about maintaining possession and ball movement, careful ball movement.
And that's okay as long as you maintain the possession. It is reasonably windy out there, and it's going to make life a little bit difficult. But this is a really important battle for both players. Matty Leuenberger, he's trying to reclaim that number one ruck position, and Kurt Tippett, I think more and more will be seen as the Sydney Swans' number one man.
Leuenberger. Zorko. He's an important player, but didn't get any freedom at all there. Brisbane breaking all sorts of their records last week with their massive tackling count of 121. The conditions played a big factor in that. Even yet later, a genuine tackle.
Third man up has allowed them to clear it. It should have been probably a handball, but the question is it deliberate? No, it's not. Adam Goods is the deepest forward for Sydney, so starting similarly to the way they did last week. Jono, with Adam Goods, that means Daniel Merritt has got a pretty elusive customer to track down.
I think there are going to be a lot of swap overs from the defenders today for Brisbane. Communication is going to have to be extremely high.
The other one playing forward was Luke Parker. You'll see him, when I say forward, he's now on the half-back flank, but he's playing in the last line of attack for Sydney at the moment.
Laidler took the mark in the goal square, and there's Adam Goods come right up the ground. Everyone is in that half of the ground right now. That'll change as the Swans move the ball. It wasn't a great kick from Grundy. Set up Lloyd, and he's out to it.
Yep, the bounce back over, and it looked like a clean hit from first look is Daniel Merritt. And I was just going to say, this is the way Alex Rance plays his footy. Merritt's the same. He comes up to close up the opposition very quickly on a regular basis, uses that big body to make contact.
Tell you, boys, that was just down here in front of me, and that was a beautiful sound, let me tell you. Absolutely cracking hit from Merritt. That's what he does. He brings some toughness back to this young group.
Thought you'd like that one, Moons. 3 minutes gone, no score yet at the Gabba. Leuenberger fended it away, but Kennedy's able to get the Swans going with the little handball out to Robinson. Now they're into half forward and almost beyond. Andrews was being rounded up by Towers, but was able to keep it moving to Gardner, and now they've got to half back, and Ace takes the mark.
Tom Mitchell putting a lot of time into Dane Beams for the Brisbane Lions at the stoppages.
Hanley had a bit of a challenge there, and he's managed to draw a free kick. Whips the handball out to Beams. Takes them back into the middle. Adcock. Parker. Rich. Put the head down, so no free kick. Lions fought amongst themselves just for a split second. That was enough to get Parker in. Now here's Buddy. He's on the scene.
Well, they've turned it into the scrap we thought may happen here, Jono. The question is which side is going to be able to break, and when you do, there's the Hanley leap. Which side is going to be able to score when the break eventually comes? You can almost put it down as a certainty now. The first 15 minutes of every game, about 25 stoppages.
Rich kicks to half forward.
I like the positioning of Rich then as well. Just behind the stoppage, was able to release off the back. He's so important if getting open space, given open space to use that left leg.
Kennedy got hunted down. Redden forced his way through Jones, but didn't reach the ultimate destination, which was to get in the clear, and the ball goes over the line.
Interesting handball from Zach Jones to Josh Kennedy. It was almost as if it was a reflex, because he saw the great player in front of him. He thought he'd better dish it off, but only went a metre and really didn't affect any clearance.
Paparone chances his arm, but as Jared's been alluding to, there's not a lot of space to work in.
We'll see where Paparone goes as well. He's just ducking out the back of the stoppage there. Might be playing high half forward, or even through the midfield. He has played as a defender and a running defender in recent times. With Merritt back in, his role changes today.
And they keep swinging the changes up forward. The Swans now, Dean Towers, as you can see on screen, along with Mike Pike. They are the two high forwards. But they're holding pretty firm here, the Lions.
Gardner taking the strong contested mark. Down the line, the driving kick. Tip it amongst the push and the shove, but they're all out-prodded by the man at the front of the pack, and McStay has shown that he can take a big grab. Loves to fly. But like the rest of the Lions forward line, still very young. Except for maybe that man, Staker, whose kick almost stayed in.
Drop a ball is going to be so important for Brisbane today, because they are going to get slowed up at times, whether it's on the wing. They are going to have to go long to one-on-one contests, sometimes two-on-one. If the ball hits the deck, Zorko and Taylor, they need to be at the feet. Even Rockcliffe, Red and these guys, Sam Mays, have to be at the feet of the big guys on a regular basis.
Sam Reid.
Well, Buddy's pushed himself now forward to be the deepest forward, and Merritt's going to pick up whoever is playing that role.
Jones to Pike to Towers to Kennedy, and now running onto it, McVeigh. Smart play, though, by Robertson, and they're away. The Lions, we know when they get the little fellas up and running, they're so dangerous. Robertson confused Loath to kick it, and he didn't realise how close Buddy was. And now he's given him 50, has he?
And a shot at goal. He'd be frustrated because it was a really good break, but there was a little give there. He was covered. And here's the push and shove, and nice bit of acting from Buddy. You draw the 50-metre penalty, but you put your hands in the face, you're going to leave the umpire with no other choice.
But the frustration comes as well as Buddy lines up here for a big shot at goal, is the work that you do as a side to then restrict Sydney and then give him a shot at goal like this.
Especially Buddy Franklin. Don't need to give him any help at all. It's a good kick, distance-wise, but not in terms of accuracy, as you can well see. It's away to the left, and let's have a look at these boys.
The thing is that Robertson won't back away whatsoever. He's one tough character.
Well, he did nothing wrong.
He loves the contact.
Hand in face.
No.
The Brisbane Lions, though, they really did waste a good break there, though. They had the Swans on the ropes, but they just didn't have anybody inside their forward 50. So if they're going to get those breaks going, it'd be good just to have one of their players either run into the paddock or stay at home.
The Lions have had much more of the foot here. It's been that sort of mantra, the little chip stuff, but now they're starting to get into the space.
Great vision there. You see Sam Mays had his back to a turn. The ball was coming his way. Had to react and get going.
Took a long time to make a decision, didn't he? It's ended up all right, though. It's got the centre half forward.
Yeah, the Swans have now got 6 defenders.
Rockcliffe chipping it, and he's hit a man that's been able to drift Paparone into the 50.
He's done well here too. Took the mark, took a step forward, and it's worked out in his favour here with the umpire coming in and setting the mark probably a metre or two further towards goal in his favour. But it was a great kick by Daniel Rich. Cut the middle, 45 degrees, hit up his skipper Tom Rockcliffe, and this is the result.
Well, bottom line is it's an impressive start again by the Brisbane Lions. Their ball movement and skill has been first class. Just haven't hit the scoreboard. Here's an opportunity.
Marco Paparone, just 1 goal so far this year, but kicked 13 goals in his career, and he can't quite land that one. His 37th game, still just 20 years of age. They've pumped lots of games into their youngsters over the last couple of years. Hopefully they can reap the benefits over the next few. Bit of a standoff at half-back for Dean Towers to deal with, and you can see he didn't deal with it that well. Almost work on Rockcliffe could have ended up with it being 50 there, but not to be. Gardner. And the switch is again affected to the outer side.
The switch is working because they're pulling the trigger quick on their kick. They're not slowed up.
Taylor finds Beams.
From Lewis Taylor, because it was a swarm of Swans in defence. You can see there now they're all sitting back there. He had to hit up the short lead, and he gets an opportunity to kick it from about 50 metres.
30 disposals and 11 tackles last week for Dane Beams. He's been a very consistent recruit for them.
Just goes back to that Dean Towers kick. It really was an opportunity for the Swans gone begging, coming back very quickly.
8 goals, 9 for the season. We know he is a genuine goal kicker over the years. This is looking straight, and it's looking like a great start for Brisbane.
I love the way they've looked after Dane Beams early in this game. The Lions, his teammates, they've looked after him a treat, giving him a couple of cheap possessions to get him going, to get him running against this quality Sydney midfield. That's the kick you're talking about, though, right there, Jared.
Well, there's no need to go back onto your right leg. All the players are running to the boundary. Just come around onto your left. Hit up the skipper, McVeigh, who was doing the hard work, and it would have been a different result, but he'll learn.
You just see Beams just sneak out the back there as well, because Tom Mitchell had to go try cover Louis Taylor and Zorko. Beams was the one who was able to benefit from that.
Fine start for the former Pie, and the Lions' energy is good. Mitchell to respond by getting it in quickly. Merritt on guard. They do look a different defensive unit with the experience of Merritt just plopped in the middle.
He's had a good start, hasn't he?
Paparone up to Hanley.
Well, Leppich said they lead too many goals this year, easy goals. They're not going to do that this afternoon with the way Merritt's started.
The latest of spoils from Zach Jones was effective. He's keeping it out of Ace's hands. And it's over the line and out of bounds. Daniel Rich, an important player for them. 5 disposals. Hanley 5. Rockcliffe and Beams 4 each. 4 and a goal for Beams. And as we said, Merritt is leading the way in defence. So all positive signs. It's produced 1 goal, 2 so far.
Jordan Burke giving a bit of a chop out in the ruck at the moment against Kurt Tippett.
Back to Paparone. Prepared to kick sideways into the defensive 50 to try and get the switch going again. Oh, Zorko just able to get the dancing feet on when he needed to. Christensen, and he kept on going. Zorko to receive. Adventurous handball for Rich. He's on the left. He knew he'd had to rush it. Clean bowled a few on the way and got Reed as well. Zach Jones in that last line. Just got back to fortify things, and the Swans really needed the reinforcements back there as he finds Mitchell.
Well, they're really attacking well here, the Brisbane Lions.
Through the corridor.
Swans are just putting up all sorts of defence, but it's the Lions who are defending well, but they're also attacking well.
Tip it out, marked there totally by Andrews.
Got to hit those hands. It just can't go to ground.
Beams going short to Gardner. They've wheeled their way around the 50 again.
Impressive start, Cameron.
I think he's spot on at the moment, Jared, the way they're attacking at the minute. We've seen Rich hit that ball through the middle. We've seen Zorko take that mark through the middle as well. The fact that they're taking that ball on through that middle of the ground, it's just opening the game completely up on them. The only problem for Brisbane right now, though, Jared, I would say, is their shots for goal. They're all around the 45, 50-metre mark. They just need to get one just a little bit closer.
Yeah, that speed of ball movement. The Swans are getting back pretty hard.
Well, Merritt did the big hit earlier on. Staker then came out. He's cleaned up Lloyd with a big jump into his back as well. He's a little bit sore after that contest.
Tell you what, it was a great mark by Heath Grundy.
It was on the back of that.
On the back of it. It was a dangerous kick, and he backed himself.
6 entries for 1 goal, 2 so far for Brisbane.
This is where they're going to have to be careful, Brisbane, with Burke, not an experienced ruckman by any stretch. So he's up against Tippett. They're going to have to work at ground level.
Strange old kick, that one.
Yeah, they got the troops back, Brisbane. Hanley got some assistance from Justin Clark on the way through.
Christensen working hard. He hasn't been on it.
Paparone had longer sights on McStay. Just the one goal through the first half of this opening term.
66 disposals to 32, but they've been quality, haven't they, from Brisbane? Really proactive, trying to get the ball back in the corridor.
80% kicking
efficiency as well.
And just as we say that one
fumble.
comes up a bit short for Pearce Hanley.
But
Well,
it really
in
has
many
been
ways,
good
it was lucky it went over the boundary line. You don't want to keep those ones in because it's time to reset.
Longberg looks like he's ready to get out there. In the meantime, Tippett has that advantage over young Burke. Got the tap down, but Ace was there, but slow with the hands.
Yeah, it was a throw.
Christensen, Kennedy, and now Hanbury taking it from Jack. Here's Lloyd, see if he's got his bearings back. Beams shells out the handball. Ace, it was a bit of a speculative kick back to the wing. It might end all right. It was an outstanding pick up from McStay. The boundary line was certainly an ally for him there.
Yeah, no doubt. He actually had nowhere to go. And he faked the move to get this ball over the boundary line.
He looked, Dane Rampy was the only one that he was going to hit with a kick then. So great decision. Look at the disposals there. Most of them Brisbane Lions with some big numbers. Kennedy the only one for Sydney with 7.
And he adds to that. They get to half forward. Mays paid himself the mark and the other players agreed, even though the umpire had said touched. Hanley wasn't looking where he was kicking it. He was hoping. And McStay couldn't quite get the job done. He was outnumbered. Now, the switch is on from Sydney. Shaw, we know he doesn't lack in boldness. Bouncing, kicking poorly. Robertson with the intercept. Can't go long quick. He did have Christensen as a mid-range option, but decided not to. McStay has 2 on him. Oh.
It's disappointing because Jed Adcock, although he didn't get to Shaw, he put that perceived pressure on him because he chased down hard. Made Shaw have a look around a couple of times just to see how far behind he was, and then affected the incorrect disposal. Robertson needed to do better with that kick going forward. They had numbers everywhere.
A lot of pointing by the Swans senior players to get these matchups right. They're trying, Redden's trying to get in the face of Tom Mitchell to release his teammate and Beams.
Christensen, Jones had him all worked over. He's been busy so far. Zach Jones.
1 metre, Matthew.
Made 3 tackles. Had 3 disposals. Ball hooked back into play. Kennedy ripped it out of his hands to Jack Redden. High ball, Rampy. Dane Rampy with the big aggressive switch. And here's Adam Goods onto the scene, but just too agile, too smart. Hanley.
Not his finest work.
No, it wasn't.
Good mark from Dane Rampy. It hasn't been one of their strengths to one-on-one battles, the Sydney Swans this year in defence. So improved performance, seeing Grundy come through and take a contested mark, and then Rampy do the same.
We have to watch that though, the Lions. Rampy's been back by himself a fair bit. He's a very strong rebounding player, so they may need to look at getting that extra man back out of the stoppage, man him up.
Leuenberger's hands doesn't go too far. Taylor didn't go for the boundary line, decided to keep it in. Oh, Paparone his time again as Parker comes away. Back to the middle, ripped off the pack by Rich, building again. Rampy ups the intensity, has to for the Swans. They're being challenged here. Beams, creative handball. They've just got to be able to dictate play a little better when they get close to goal. Mays has that opportunity, and he misses the target.
Well, it's an exciting talent, is Mays. We haven't seen enough of him this year. He's one that the Lions have got to build a future around. But that handball from Paparone, that was extraordinary. It's something you see in low-grade football.
Bring it in. Play on.
Laidler. A couple of one-on-ones there. It's an interesting one. Lewis Jetta playing in front of Hanley. Couldn't complete it.
Hanley up to 11 disposals. Paparone started on the bench. He's come on at 10, floating around half-back and pushing forward at the right time.
I know Hanley's kicking hasn't been great so far, but he's covered some territory, hasn't he? He gives them so much zip and zest around the place. They've missed him badly. Bounded up, I don't know if it was the one that got cleaned up before, but
it was.
He was a bit light on for throwing power there. So let's watch this one. It's a fraction shallow again, but Leuenberger comes over the top and brings it down to the front. Redden.
It's a nice battle at these stoppages between Kennedy and Rockcliffe.
Rockcliffe gets it in. Swans had the extra number, but McStay, well, it was a great effort from Zorko. What about the follow?
The magician.
There is the magician at work.
There it is. Look at that. Jordan Burke, I think, was the one who got the hand in there, or at least laid the tackle to get the ball to McStay. It was important here that he gets some body in here. Burke, he's the one with the spoil. There it is there. And there's the magician, Jared.
The great Zorko has produced a little bit of magic. His opposition was ladle. You see there he goes in and affects the spoil. Hard to be critical of that, but that is just great work from Zorko. Well, they're up and about the Brisbane Lions. They've got some big guns in, and they've started particularly well.
Well, when you think about all the talk about Brisbane in the pre-season with the recruits they had, a lot of people were thinking they could be the team to rise up. They really haven't had their personnel together until now. Still missing Stephen Martin, but the rest of the gang are pretty much there. So it's a really positive start for them. And Sydney now know they have a big job ahead. They've been denied the footy. That's the main thing. They've only had 49 disposals and 10 marks up until now.
Jack moving hard, working hard. They've slowed up the Swans with their ball movement. They haven't been able to find a one-on-one target, a spare man in defence. Once again, they've got the 2-on-1. Very unlucky not to grab the mark there, Tippett.
Yeah, we've seen marks with less than that paid over the weekend.
Well, in fact, the mark was paid with no hands on it at one stage.
Yes.
There's a hospital handball.
14 points the margin. Redden tried to dig it out. Lloyd was involved. Hanbury. Shaw, bit of an intruder into the forward 50 for the Swans. And across the ground and across the goal it goes.
Well, he's working hard. Reece Shaw getting up to get on the end of the handballs. Good execution to get it onto the outlet runner. Just couldn't get the conversion right.
Daniel. Hold on. Yours.
Rich kicks to half back. Teams couldn't get a handle on it, and the Swans therefore have an opportunity to do something significant. Nick Smith was mown down in effective fashion. McVeigh left to fight in his own, and they came from every angle. Christensen, he too found the conditions too difficult to negotiate.
Well, look at the numbers around the footy as well. There's plenty from each side. Serious numbers, trying to reset a little bit here, but that's where the Lions need to reset. Just got the blood rule, I think it is, with Leuenberger. He came in hard, Jared, before, tried to pick up a big ball against McVeigh, head on with McVeigh.
McVeigh was a bit stiff, I think, to miss a free kick.
Daniel McStay's just come on.
So we'll see what happens here. They're trying to work out who's going to ruck for
Players off the ground.
Brisbane. Jordan Burke into the action.
And again, lack of confidence from the Swans. Unusual to see with their ball movement.
Well, sides are just really crowding it up around the better sides. You're down the bottom. The best way to keep yourself in the game is to limit scoring, and that's what we're seeing happen against the Sydney Swans. And then there's just a mess of players, and the Zorko man breaks a line again.
It really does suit Brisbane's pacey little men, doesn't it? That style of play, because they're most effective on the break. McStay, in the end, did pretty well to fight for as long as he could after opportunity missed.
Yeah, been a bit kind, I think. He had 3 goes at it.
Hanbury kicks to the 50, and here's Tippett, full-chested.
Yeah, I'm with you, Jared. McStay should have picked that up strong, then burst forward. Oh, another 50.
And that's a nice old gift. Justin Leppy should be a bit peeved with that, but he couldn't be disappointed in the effort of his players. They've been terrific.
Well, you could see Darcy Gardner there, Jared. He was trying to get around a buddy and completely just ran straight across the mark, but you could feel for him because he was just trying to get to Buddy to make sure he didn't swing around.
Tippett puts it through.
Yeah, he's not happy there. Darcy Gardner, we'll have a look at it in a second. A couple of the young Brisbane Lions players have given away 50-metre penalties so far in this first quarter. There he is there, Tippett taking the mark. Darcy Gardner. Oh, he came up to stop. It was reasonably quick, wasn't he? He didn't go through the mark, but what are your thoughts, Jared?
Well, I reckon he got inside the man on the
there,
mark.
yeah.
And there's no point
50.
shaking your head. You just got to play by the rules.
Yep.
So that's handy for Kurt Tippett to be gifted a certain goal. I thought it would have been a challenging kick from where he was. Been forced to lay 17 tackles, the Swans, really, because Brisbane have taken the initiative in this game. The Lions lead by 7 points with 4 minutes remaining in this opening term.
Milburgers all strapped up, ready to go out again.
Bit going on in the middle. Zorko's been a dynamo so far. Hanley on the back foot, had to stop conceding ground. He knew that. Gave it to Andrews, and now Mays.
First of the wings, the Lions in this first quarter. That's been the big thing for me, Jared.
Well, they've got to get a few things sorted out. That kick from Andrews didn't help, and I mean that looks like a bloke who's come from Ireland. He's been introduced to the Sharon for the first time. I mean, Paparone's been around a lot longer than that to have better skills than that.
Yeah, tight situation early in the quarter. Get it on the boot, get it going forward.
Leuenberg, a sloppy handball for Merritt, who contained it as well as he could, but the kick as a result was rushed, and Nick Smith takes the mark. So it'd be unfortunate from a Brisbane point of view if they were to concede another late goal and not get enough reward for their effort in this first
You've mentioned
term.
it a couple of times, Joe. Just those lazy little handballs from Brisbane are just costing them at the moment. They've been so brilliant the way they've attacked, the way they've defended, but then they just give up little silly handballs like that, which puts their teammates under pressure.
Yeah, there was the Andrews kick, and then there was the Gardner 50-metre pen. Just tiny little things there. Work rate's been better than Sydney. Their attitude and their desperation's been first class, but they're just keeping the door open when it should be a little bit more scoreboard pressure than there is.
It is interesting in trying to assess this Sydney team. We think of them as being this really experienced team. As Moon said in our pre-match to John Longmire, they do have 6 players under 50 games, so you know, if enough pressure is applied, they can be vulnerable. And Brisbane are doing that, even though we know they're a young team themselves. Kick goes up to the wing. Big fist from Mays. And it's over the line and out of bounds. Brisbane themselves have 10 players under 50 games, but 9 over 100, so there is enough with that experience now.
That's a good point you make, Hutto. If you apply pressure, doesn't matter what side you're playing, there are always going to be some kinks in the armour. You've just got to be able to expose it and apply the pressure for long enough.
And that's the question, I suppose. How long can they do that for? Jetta pumps it up for Tippett again. Comes off hands. Kennedy, we know he's a powerful force. Not a great kick unless he gets an amazing bounce. Paparone, that's a better handball this time. Got it to Lewis Taylor, and he's got the strut going as he runs out of the fence. The handball over to Staker. They'll keep running for him. Burke needs lots of depth from the kick, or else that little... Oh, it was a tricky kick. It went to Sydney numbers. It was tough. He didn't have a lot of options, but...
Well, he did. He had McStay. McStay kept running towards goal, though. He needed the dart around harder and work harder to provide an option for Burke. That's why it broke down, because McStay just didn't get on his bike and come back up at the kicker.
You can see Gardner getting some assistance on the way off.
Yeah, he looks like a broken hand, a broken arm or a broken wrist down here. Hutto, he's in some really much pain trying to walk off the ground at the moment.
Well, that's terrible news if it is that serious. Tippett right up the ground. Kicks into the 50. Oh, here's Bunny. Now, we haven't seen him too close to goal. What? He whipped that handball out in the blink of an eye, but unfortunately, Kieran Jack hasn't given what it deserved. It's the injury for Gardner.
Shoulder? Did he reach for his shoulder?
The perils of spoiling. They need to defend pretty grimly here because the Swans are closing in, getting numbers around the footy, but that's probably not a bad result for Brisbane.
Straight the green whistle.
Yeah, assistance from the pain.
So whether it's out, Moons will keep us up to date with that.
Leuenberger. Beams fashioned something, but it didn't go too far. Lloyd. Adcock hitting hard back the other way. Robertson. Another target missed, but Louis Taylor, a little hoover, vacuuming his way through. Picked it up the crumbs and kicked it to the wing. Burke want to give it back to him. Now he goes for ace instead. Promising ball movement. Hanley just so elusive the way he kept out of trouble. Christensen again, a challenge ahead to try and hit a man at the handball for Leuenberger. Was reluctant to give it to the ruckman to kick, but it's ended all right. Berg to fly, no mark. Putting some pressure on though, Reid. Oh, Laidler. Good improvisation from the former Cat in blue. They get it away now through Jones.
Once again, a couple of Brisbane forward thrusts just breaking down because they can't find a spare, a loose player, and the Swans getting some numbers back. Once again, they get another opportunity to pinpoint one inside.
Should go long to the goal square. Hanley versus Jack. That's the contest they should be looking at.
Siren sounds, and it's more of the same from the Brisbane Lions. We've seen this the last couple of weeks. They've started really well and taken the challenge up to much more fancy teams. And it's the Swans with some headaches. They've only kicked 1 goal in the opening term. The Lions on their home patch lead by 7. Came in different forms from Brisbane, but it was all about effort early on for Daniel Merritt, putting a stamp on this game. Again, more effort from teammates to set up this bit of brilliance, a flash coming through. Zorko, the great Dane Zorko, and Brisbane kicking 2 of only 3 goals in a low-scoring opening term on this twilight fixture on a Sunday, round 15, and Brisbane, who we know have struggled this year, but they've got their best team together so far, and they're really taking to the Swans.
Though they have, their energy around the footy was very good. They're getting plenty of numbers around the ball, around the stoppages, but then able to break through, and they've been able to get first to the wings and get on the outside, Jared.
I think they're working the ball from defence particularly well. Hanley's been involved in a lot of the play. Paparone has also had plenty of disposals, kicking the ball well. We spoke about some handball. He's clearly got some issues he needs to address there, but their work rate across the board has been good. Good to see Sam Mays back in and getting some footy. Louis Taylor continues to impress. He's a good hoover, as you said, Hutto, and he delivers.
Let's get down to Cameron Mooney. Moons, the Brisbane Lions, I know they've got their injury concern down there, but they'd be really pleased with their first quarter. They had 15 more contested possessions.
They would be absolutely ecstatic with that first quarter, Hutto. They were brilliant. Unfortunately, the sub has been made down here with Darcy Gardner. We just see the vision here. It's his right shoulder as he spoils that ball. We know he's got some strapping on there. He's obviously had some problems there before. So that has obviously been a lot of pain. We see there he's on the whistle, so a lot of pain going through there. He's got his arm held there on the bench when the quarter-time huddle was going through. He's in a lot of pain at the moment. He's gone down under the rooms right now. So Rowan Buick, guys, has come on. So the sub has been made for Brisbane.
Well, he's got strapping on that shoulder, so I'd suggest that he'd had some previous incidents and it's popped. And it's going to be probably more than likely that his season is over. So bad luck for him because he was enjoying some good moments.
Yeah, they certainly have a crack, those young Brisbane defenders that have come in. Take a backward step. Leuenberger gets the tap. Second quarter underway here from the Gabba. Goods with the handball. He's looking to get it back again. Kieran Jack digs them inside 50 instead.
Well, early signs are good for Brisbane. Their intensity's still up. Swans have got to find a way through this mess of football.
Well, it is, isn't it? Congestion around the ball. It's an issue for these top teams that are trying to play free-flowing footy. Tom Rockcliffe was on the job for Brisbane. Goes short.
Had a good first quarter and a good start to the second. Had 6 possessions.
I like Buick as a player as well. I think he had some good flexibility for the Lions up forward. Can jump. Reasonable set shot. If he gets his work rate up now with plenty of game time, we're looking to have a big impact.
McVeigh into the 50. The service for Tippett was beautiful.
Well, it was poor kick going out for Brisbane again. Just a tiny little thing, Cameron, that has turned into a goal-scoring opportunity for Sydney, and you just saw how quickly they pounced. Rubber kick went along the boundary line, Jono. Can't afford to do that. Give the ball back to this super team.
That's too easy, isn't it? It really is. When you work so hard to get it back, you just want to use it well or create it longer down the line to make it 1 or 2 kicks back into their forward 50 for the Sydney Swans.
So here's Kurt Tippett, already with a goal. 22 goals, 9 going into the year. And he started strongly today with 2.
Yeah, I'm with you, Hutto. I think he's been one of the Swans' better players so far today. Started with a really good opening bounce and clearance. Let's just have a look from the goal camera. You can just see down the ground. There's Kurt Tippett. He's been given too much space. I mean, that's just defenceless in some ways. The turnover was poor, but so too was the reaction to the turnover.
You've got to get to the man if he is free, but that's why defenders are looking, thinking, am I right to go here or am I not? Turnover can cause that.
93 goals in his 39 games for Sydney so far. Kurt Tippett, after 104 games with the Adelaide Crows, which produced 188 goals. Brisbane's lead reduced to 1. It's a Brisbane free out of the middle, despite Kieran Jack's efforts to make the escape. It's this man, Leuenberger, who sends them forward, hoping that Hanley could get back onto it.
Grundy read it well again. Left his man 30 metres behind.
Kicks it to Adam Goods.
You have to be that way as a fullback these days. I think in the modern game, Rance has set the tone. We've seen Merritt do it tonight. Grundy and Richards are reasonably good at it for Sydney on a consistent basis. You have to have the courage to go at the right time and help out.
Yeah, you've got to get the 2-on-1 as often as you possibly can, and I guess McGovern has been doing it particularly well for the West Coast. Easton Wood for the Dogs. 2-on-1 generally wins.
Kieran Jack gives them a chance, or Tippett was about to dive into the right spot. Adcock, they beat them to it, but they're not out of trouble just yet. Robinson setting up Mitchell and his left boot. Good guarding of the space back there by Clark.
It's nice hands by Kennedy to set up that shot at goal.
Finds Robertson on the way out. Clark, and now he sets up the kick to the wing. He kicked it to no one.
Well, Staker moved. He did a light lead forward when he didn't have to. He just had to stay stationary.
This kick's contagious just for the moment. Tippett, 3 lines all over him. It's a hack kick out of there. Staker, smart play. Buick to the voice of Big Leuenberger. Took a while to get the hands on.
Well.
The message from the brain to the hands and to the boot, but got there eventually. And Burke's given away for him. Brisbane fans just down in front of us here had a really good view. Had a fairly biased view of it. And didn't agree, it's fair to say, with the umpire.
The hold was there. Good call by the ump.
Jetta has slipped forward, getting away from Robertson.
Flips it into the middle to Hanbury. Reid, who just went with the flow of handballs right across the ground. Laidler. So it's a patient build-up, but they are spreading Brisbane wide. Convincing kick by Robinson.
It's a couple in this quarter, isn't it, where they let themselves down, and Goodsy's not happy, and he shouldn't be happy either with that delivery. If your teammate's got open space, you should be expected to be hit on the chest if you created a good lead for a 15 to 20 metre kick.
John Longmire was ready not to be happy. He had the hand over his mouth in case he had something to say. Tippett gets it down. Rockcliffe lending his experience and strength to the stoppages today. It's great to have him back. 8 disposals so far. Tom Rockcliffe, already 4 times he sent his team inside 50. Had a decisive advantage in the contested possessions in the opening term. It'll be interesting to see if they can maintain that. Hanley's played his part, down to Christensen. McStay has 2 to contend with if he kicks it long, Reid and Rampy, so he doesn't go there.
Well, that's in the first quarter. They shifted from Christensen, came into the middle quickly, and then out to this side, which took the spare away that Sydney have created in their defensive half. So they need to be quicker with that at times if they can. Brisbane set themselves up to get that switch of play.
Staker willed himself into the clear. It's still an outnumber down there against McStay. Contest not killed, and the handball not overly convincing, but Hanbury now makes it look good as he streams away. Aggressive kick for Kennedy. The boundary was always not too far away.
You're spot on, John. If they keep going down the line and being safe, Brisbane, that's just going to allow Sydney to get into their game, get into their groove, get their defenders to come off their opponents and make that 2-on-1 that you talked about, Jared. And that's when their game gets going. And that's what Brisbane just can't allow to happen.
McVeigh to get ball to boot in some fashion just to find a way out of there. Towering effort from Andrews. Advantage paid, whipping through Jack. Just managed to squeeze it out Robinson, but you can see the kick under duress into the 50. Cool bounce. Merritt.
Look at him attack the ball, though.
Isn't he enjoying being back out there?
Great smother again. That's good defensive play. Merritt coming through was a highlight. Then Karen Jack coming in and closing up with a big smother here.
Just wound up.
Perfect technique.
Great leadership from the Swans captain.
On its way back into play.
Luke Parker is desperate to find a way out, and there was none.
Jared, James, I'm free. Right. Thanks.
Reshaw, the dangerous man, just sitting off the back.
Yep, good
They
timing.
find the release.
Matty waiting in case it sneaks through the cracks. It doesn't, though. Brisbane defence on guard and combining well. Robertson sends it up along the outer wing. Staker now still falling down when it gets in their forward half.
Harris Andrews, Jared, is improving every time I see him pull on the Lions colours. He's more confident now as a defender. Goes for his marks. Keeps his feet in the contest more often.
He's a talent. He's certainly one that they've got many years, hopefully, to get out of.
Continued to be a low-scoring affair in the second quarter. He's got Pike at the moment. Harris Andrews.
And one of his great strengths is he knows how to read it. He lays off and gets intercept marks. Swans are running with a spare in defence at the moment in Rampy, so it's a 3-on-2 deep. So if they win this stoppage, Brisbane, they've got to be careful not to just bomb it away.
Matthew, 1 metre.
Hanley and Kennedy both with 14 disposals so far. James Aish up to 10. From the throw in, Leuenberger.
Out
of
Make
bounds
sure you
again.
keep the metre, guys, okay, Matthew? This time, stay 1 metre. Don't back into it.
So got the strap.
He needs to fix that up. Get the trainer out. Cut it off.
Jetta and Zorko across the back.
Hayes takes them inside 50 again. Fairly haphazard kick, but Jones, good energy back to Rampy, who was looking to give and get back. Had the handball to Jones, who was still recovering from the previous facet of play. A little handball along the line. And well done by Kennedy. He's got the help he needed. Here's Adam Goods through the middle. And stride out perhaps. Lloyd gives it to Shaw. And now McVeigh. Finally, they're ready to roll, the Swans. The kick up to the 50. Handled carefully by Towers. The give to Jetta. He's got Pike in the square. Oh, he did well. He saw his man jump. And he knew what to do with it when he had the shot, Jetta.
Well, that was an impressive passage of play coming from a couple of possessions from Zach Jones in defence. And then a string of handballs right through to the other side of the ground. You see Buddy going up the middle of the ground. They elected not to be Buddy-centric. They went wide and they found Jetta. And this was just a solo performance after that, and a pretty impressive one.
Yeah, Clark leaving the ground. The umpire actually blew his whistle, then thought it was a mark, and then said, no, it's not, it's play on. It was a handball, but he got Clark off the ground. And that's one thing you can't afford to do as a defender.
Interesting decision not to go down the guts, using the football parlance, to Buddy Franklin. He was free, and he hasn't really had a big impact at the present time.
Swans getting the ball on the outside in this quarter, as we just saw. And they're in front now with the only 2 goals of the quarter. Redden wears one. Play on. Now ball up.
And again, the Swans push Dean Rampy to defence as the spare.
Hanley.
And that's been swapped over. Now it's Laley. So they like when there's a kick away from goal to get that out number deep.
Towers to Lloyd. To Franklin. Again shut down. Clark. Buddy getting a bit frustrated out there. But here's Robertson. Swans all around him. He was going downstairs. He was in trouble. Got the handball away. Well done by Merritt and Christensen and Robertson.
Pressure starting to lift for the Swans, making it more difficult for the Lions to execute keepings off.
Good tackling by Dane Beams. He went a couple of times there.
Christensen just down here, guys, at the moment. He's got one in the bread basket.
Just wait, Rog, wait. Where's Rod? Push out.
The umpire just determining who was meant to be the ruckman. It's an area of much confusion these days.
Good body work.
The Swans just look a little bit more assured now, don't they? It's a couple of goals and their confidence.
Really settled in, Hutto. Running well now. As you said, getting to the outside a lot more frequently than what Brisbane are in this quarter, especially.
Nick Smith up to the wing. Adam Goods has the size advantage on Rich. Did it all except take the mark. And Robinson was there for the Swans. So was Dane Zorko to make sure it went over. As Moon said, Christensen wearing one before and just struggling a little bit as a result. So getting to the midpoint of this second term. Brisbane still without a goal for the quarter, looking to get one right here and now with Lewis Jenner. Buick was there for him to work with. Angles the kick into the pocket and well judged by Dane Rampy.
Well, I think they missed an opportunity there. They had the 1-2 going and Taylor was away. If the handball had have come down the line, he was in for a shot.
Boyd goes short and things opening up a bit for the Swans. Hanbury to Franklin. Takes the tumbler on the second.
Doesn't
miss a beat.
And Merritt round him up. Can he work his way through? No, that's on the ball. Big win for Brisbane. Big psychological boost too.
Crowd enjoyed it.
They need to get forward now quickly if they can. They had numbers out. Rich taking his time. Both players a bit fatigued after that effort, but they need to score off the back of efforts like that we just witnessed.
Rich and Smith watching Taylor. Big collect.
It's been solid, Rampy. He's playing that loose very well. Here's the first tackle, slips away, but then Rich come in to support Merritt.
Been a frustrating quarter for the big fellow. Not getting any leeway whatsoever.
Redden, Taylor hacking it forward again. They're outnumbered hopelessly. Big fist away. No one really skirting the packs for Brisbane. They can't close out Hanbury.
Good effort by Jack, though. He hit that really hard. And look, he's up and about again. Not a great disposal, though. Gave up all his good work.
Did. Now Rockcliffe. Can they capitalise, Brisbane? Paparone. Sydney's defensive efforts and intensity have certainly increased in this term. Short kick from Beams. He's accumulating again. He's up to 14 disposals, Dane Beams, with a goal, a couple of tackles to his name. Louis Taylor getting busy in this quarter. That's not a great result for them.
Closing the gap in disposals, up around 30 at one point there in the first quarter in Brisbane's favour. Now it's only 8 the difference, 166 to 158 in terms of disposals for both sides.
And it's more about what's happening on the outside. I think the contested numbers have certainly levelled them up in this quarter, which is what they needed to do after Brisbane dominated in the first term. And they're really hurting them on the outside, or at least hoping to. That they've only kicked the 2 goals.
Yeah, 54 to 28 uncontested possessions. There's your outside run, your outside work. And Sydney have taken a 2-point lead, 20 to 18 in contested possessions.
It's been a handball thing too, hasn't it?
Handball receives are 40 to 17, so they are flicking the ball around, trying to get it out onto the outside. But the one thing they haven't been able to do is hit a target up in the forward 50.
6 entries for 2 goals for Sydney, 5 entries for no score for Brisbane. So most of them have been reasonably shallow, or a bit like this, just hacked up and hoping more than anything.
Just not a lot of entries, full stop. I mean, the game's being played between the arcs at the moment.
Staker got it through. Paparone. Zorko remains one of the most dangerous threats, but that's not a great position to turn it over. Although Sydney had so many numbers back that didn't have immediate path out of there, so Hanbury going sideways. And that should allow Brisbane enough time to set up.
1 metre, Jordan. Yours.
It's a good pinpoint kick.
To Hanbury.
That's it, Dane. Right on it.
7th disposal for the quarter coming up.
Yours.
To Kennedy. But he's back in the goal square. Kicks falling well short of there. Fist away from Kieran Jack. Oh, he's really ready for it. Adcock. Gone.
That's a great tackle. And in the end, he couldn't get his boot onto it.
Now he needed a pick up and release straight away on that occasion. Once he picked it up, had a look, the tackle came in there. quick one to Rich. That's what he had to give.
That's why he's such a great leader. His defensive package is without flaw. He's had the smother, he's had the chase, he's had the tackles. He's working hard, he's getting plenty of disposals, as you can see. Goal would be handy and give the Swans a nice break.
Well, this for 3 unanswered goals in the quarter. And he's drilled it through, Kieran Jack. Swans lead by 11.
Well, it's been Josh Kennedy for most of this first half so far in terms of the dominant midfielder for Sydney, but Kieran Jack's really building a really solid game now. There's the defensive work you're talking about. He's had a good second quarter and just a great tackle, was able to pin the arm. No disposal from Adcock. More importantly, though, went back and finished his good work.
There's the midfield. They had to get the rotations right.
So they've kicked the last 4 goals of the game, 3 of them in this quarter. The Swans lead now is 11. It's starting to look menacing out there as far as Brisbane is concerned. Not a fair bounce for the 2 ruckmen, the umpire determines.
Back this way.
Burger for Kennedy. Well done, Hanley. Held him up and restrained him for as long as possible, but they still managed to keep it in safe hands. High ball inside, 50 points! Oh, fantastic lead. Unfortunately, didn't hang on to it. Now, Jeddah had a quick look over his shoulder. I've got a couple of metres, he thinks. Oh,
Too much pressure, perceived pressure anyway.
it was strange because he's
Look, he knew how much space he had.
Most unlike him.
normally backs himself to get away from most.
He's shaking his head now. He knows the error that is made. No use Nick Davis getting over to him with any type of message, you wouldn't think. He knows the mistake he's made.
It goes down the line. Jordan Burke comes to it. And it's over and out.
1 metre, Kurt! Kurt! Keep the metre! Matthew!
Just getting so much more of the footy now, the Swans. Machine's starting to crank into gear.
Push! Lions!
Canterbury's had a big quarter, 9 disposals. Now, can the Brisbane Lions sort themselves out here going forward? Staker take it wide. That won't help. Mays got Robertson. Again, it's going to Bauer. Just gets down low, but making life much more easy for the Swans defence, just giving them the time
That's it,
To get back.
Yep, get back, fill holes, get the point to each other, get into the right spot. So Redden looks up and sees a maze of players, and he picked out Jordan Burke very well. It was a good, strong grab there.
It was. You can see he's got a good vertical leap. Got those hands up, snaffled it. Tough kick. He's declared himself, though. He's going to have a
That's
crack
your line.
from the Jonathan Brown corner.
Geez, you'd love to see them get that ball and move it quicker through the midfield. They've got a guy like this who can take a contested mark like that, Hutto. Stop going around the boundary line, please. It's starting to frustrate me down here.
Jordan Burke, son of Damien, of course. Kick goes to the top of the square. The Swans fight amongst themselves, so they didn't mark it. Christensen was pushing the line for too high.
Crowd wanted it.
He had a fair bit of it,
He
Luke
did.
Parker, but wasn't paid. And I think the Lions fans were looking for one around the neck there for Christensen.
Yeah, and then if it wasn't paid, it had to be close to holding the ball, so it could have been anything. Quick kick away from Grundy. Hanbury, the scoop up. Kennedy. Those two both had 10 disposals each for the quarter. They're going to call that deliberate.
He's got it. Patro called early, didn't he? When he was running over there, he had the arms out.
Play on! You!
Justin Leppich hopeful.
Probably was deliberate, looking at that.
Back live now out to the wing. And Zorko has hit Hanley on. He's made it awfully difficult for him, and it's going to really hurt now. If they use it cleanly here, Sydney, they'll certainly get a shot into the 50. Whether it can actually be a shot for goal is the next question.
That's it, Dave!
Brisbane busting a gut to get back and fill some gaps and man some players up, and they've done that reasonably well. Kennedy gets out of the loop.
That's it, Jack! Right there!
Still 5 minutes remaining in this second term, which has produced 3 straight goals for the Swans.
Play on.
It's a low percentage kick, wasn't it, really, for the reward available? It almost came off. Jetta back to Kennedy, further back than where they started. Rampy tries to get it moving to the other side.
That's it. Play on. That's it,
Reed,
Rowan.
tentative approach here from the Swans.
This is called a reload.
Move it on.
In one side, no avenue to attack. Go the other side. Eventually, we've got a long kick to a contest.
Tippett showing great mobility. Fantastic work by the handoff from Hanbury to Robinson. He fires away to goal and puts it through. For his second goal in AFL footy, and the Swans' 4th unanswered goal of the quarter and their 5th in a row.
Well, a great snap around the corner, but it came at the end of half a dozen small, ineffective kicks, and then finally we ended up with a kick to a contest, Jono.
Well, and then we had players at the feet. And there it is there, Kurt Tippett with a great front square. Doesn't matter your size, Jared, you've got to perform all the skills of the game. And he did exactly the right thing there, hand off, and the result's a goal.
That's 6 more contested possessions this quarter, and their running game with a handball, the footy on the outside. So the inside 50s 10 times for 4 goals straight. It's amazing what you can do when you kick straight, isn't it?
It's a fair point, Hutto. Down the other end, 6 inside 50s, no score. So Sydney defensively have set themselves up really well with their loose behind the ball. Laidler, Rampy, they're the 2 that have been doing the job defensively to get those rebounds when Brisbane go inside forward 50.
Well, Laidler's up at the ball at the present time. It's not often we've seen today.
He's just backing out now.
There
You
he
can see
goes
him, there
back
he
to get
goes.
that set up right.
There's Jetta. Tried to find the man out the back. Adcock.
There's a tackle for his life there because he had a couple of options to handball to. So Reeshaw has cleaned up a pretty good situation there.
Jed Adcock in game number 198, so getting awfully close to a big milestone. And Christensen. Again, it's best they can do is get wide. Hanley not mucking around. He was hoping Will could get up and take the mark. Now they need the flash through of Taylor. Quite quick on the whistle that time.
And the Buddy Franklin factor, Jono, has been a non-factor today.
Well, it has. We were talking about him pre-game, and it's only 5 goals from 700 in his career. So hasn't had much of an opportunity. Well, hasn't given himself much of an opportunity so far in the game. He's been well held. I think defensively, Andrews and Clark and Merritt at times coming off his direct opponent have really helped stop the influences of Buddy.
Dan Hanbury, 14 disposals for the quarter. That one up to the wing. Ordered by Paparone. Gets over an annoyed McVeigh. Knocks it over the line and out of bounds. Jared McVeigh's had 11 disposals today. He was restricted last week by Angus Monfries to just 12 disposals.
Back, Brisbane, Dane Beam.
Not continuous, so it's going to come back to Dane Beams. Been restricted a little more in this quarter.
Hold there, please.
Just running at 50%. He's getting lots of ball under pressure.
Play on.
Hanley. Now Merritt going to construct something meaningful from here. He sees a bit of a corridor to run through. Merritt kicks long. Buick, we know he's got a leap on him for a medium-sized player. Ace gets buffeted away. McStay, well, just dragged down a little unnecessarily. It wasn't anything too extreme from Jetta, but it was over the line.
You'd like to see McStay, though, lead his opponent Grundy to the ball a couple more times. He's not reading it anywhere near as well. I know he's a young bloke trying to make his way in the game, but he's got to attack the ball a bit more.
Merritt, again, poking through with a handball. Lead on it. Then back to Robertson from Mays. Again, Buick's got to compete against too many players and too big players.
That is the spot you've just got to avoid. Mike Pike was sitting there, magnificently intercepted that one. And that's where the Swans have set up. They would have looked at the tapes, and the Swans have got that spare player there 90% of the time.
Clark did well, paddling through, working. And Zorko had to find a way to goal. And you give it to the magic man, and that's what he does.
Nice response by Dane Zorko, coming up for his second goal. And it was desperately required. They were really struggling. Lots of ineffective inside 50s. And this time he just gets to the fall of the ball. And he executes like few can.
We spoke about him pre-game in terms of him possibly getting out of the loop today because of the quality that Brisbane have back in their lineup, and he's proved that. He's had an excellent game with a couple of goals.
Dane Zorko, another 6 disposals this quarter and a goal. 12 disposals in all. He's had a time in forward half, so as big a gap as you might have expected, but certainly it has been a dominant quarter for much of the time by the Swans. 4 goals to 1 reflects that. They've got 1:15.
Straight back.
Tom Rockcliffe either trying to bluff the umpire or he was genuinely of disbelief that the free kick was going Sydney's way.
I think that was just a delay to allow the midfielders to get back to help out defensively. It hasn't worked though. Brilliant kick.
And this guy is a massive weapon for the Sydney Swans. You could see that they've isolated him, trying to get him as a one-on-one because he's such a brilliant mark overhead.
As a midfielder, isn't he?
He's an incredible talent.
And able to do it in the forward line, which is something that is so valuable.
Another great year. Not a great night to date, but a great year.
The only thing is being able to then convert those chances. And it comes off the hands and goes through for a behind. So we're sitting at a 2-goal ball game at halftime.
Well, his numbers are down, and you'd expect him to be because he's playing a lot more in the forward half at the moment.
So 30 seconds, you think Brisbane would be keen just not to negotiate that time and not suffer any more losses. It's been a disappointing quarter for them. 4 goals to 1 in Sydney's favour. 20 seconds remaining. Paparone goes for the height of Leuenberger. Burke was there as well. And the ball does spill off the hands, as you saw, and went over the line and out of bounds. So the Swans have had 111 disposals to 77 in this quarter to reverse a lot of the disparity from the opening term. Trying not to let the Swans dictate the turns. The Brisbane Lions. Adcock. Kennedy is able to dig it out. And that ends a quarter which produced 4 goals for the Sydney Swans and has given them the upper hand at half-time. It's another low-scoring affair. 5-3-33 to 3-3-21 at the break.